Welcome to the show, Rosco. So, what was the event or moment that got you started in your artistic endeavours?
Desperation,
Really?
talent, being talentless and desperate is a good combo. No, um, I would say what got me into the endeavours. I think it was a case of very simply working in an office and suddenly saying after like about 4 or 5 years, "Fuck this." I think is what I said. To quote, I mean, I'm sorry for swearing, but that was a quote of myself. But yeah, and I said, I'm not doing this anymore. And that was it. That was the first step. I'm not doing this anymore. I want to do something else. And yeah, that was it. That was the first step.
So, how did you come to the conclusion that you wanted to be an artist? Did you go down a list and write stuff down, or did you have a look at your skill set and then go, this is what I want to do?
I've always liked drawing and I've always been interested in illustration. And I thought, I'll be an illustrator. And I thought, yeah, because that's what being an illustrator is. You draw. And I thought, yeah, and being an illustrator is, if that's what you want to do, then fine and enjoy it. But it was just, you've got to find a style. You've got to find a style. I'm like, I want to do this and then I want to do that. And then, no, you got to find a style. Pick a style. So I found a style and it was very heavy pen lining and sort of quite detailed in parts, and I just got bored and sort of drifted away from being an illustrator and more graphic design. Don't want to say that's a horrible word, isn't it? Graphic designer now. I don't think they even use that. You don't even use that terminology. You just say I'm an illustrator, don't you? Or I'm a digital artist. No one says graphic designer.
No,
It's
I've
like
heard
saying
that a lot of times from some of my old co-workers.
yeah. It's the equivalent of saying like it's the same as if to say like oh I'm not a lover, I'm a prostitute. It's kind of got a dirty word, It's it's no one says graphic designer anymore, but I was one and a prostitute. But it's going to be like this for the entire interview. So
No, that's fine. So, what was the first pieces of work that you started making after you left? Well, after you went, to use your words, fuck this. And how old were you when you did that?
I was about 30. Yeah, no, that's a lie. I was about 32, like really quite late on in my life, and about 32, and then it was a case of, I mean, I was going out with my wife. I have a very strong partner who very supportive. I think that's always quite handy, especially if you're a bit of a fuckwit like I am. You have to have someone strong by you to guide you, to push you in the right areas, because you just end up spinning around in your chair all day, whee, and you need to be focused. So that it was mainly help from my girlfriend wife that sort of maybe go like, you should do this. I'm like, okay. So originally I did illustrations, and then we were like, let's make a t-shirt company, let's do illustrations on t-shirts. And we were really excited, so we spent a lot of money on buying American Apparel t-shirts and doing prints on them, on illustrations, and I had a really good idea as well, which was to do like promotion. I used to go into bookshops, right, and get my company logo and just slot it into books, and the slogan used to say, "Where did you find me?" So then you'd go online and you'd type in, "I found your flyer in a book that I was purchasing," and it seemed like a good idea at the time.
Did you sneak them into the books secretly? You just
sneak them into the books, and then you buy them, and then you've got that little flyer, and then people just say, client emailing you, please stop putting flyers in my book. I don't like your product either. Please stop.
How many flyers did you put in your books? Well, in the book, should I say?
Hundreds, man, like hundreds times, and you go into sort of like Waterstones and slot them in. People can see you doing it as well, and they're going like, "What the fuck is he doing?" Like, and it was good fun, but it made no money. It made no money, and unfortunately, I'm sure that's going to be another one of your questions.
What did you think made the t-shirt company fail? Was it the designs themselves? How you market it? Like, granted, putting leaflets in the book was just creative.
Was it the designs themselves? I bloody made them, sir. It wasn't the designs themselves. They were awesome. Probably wearing one. Am I wearing? No, I'm not wearing one now. No, they were great, man. They were really good. I'm thinking if I've got any around. No, I don't have them anymore. They were really good, but they were really strange. I did some weird stuff. Like one of them was a bunny rabbit wearing a human mask. There were kind of stories. There were like illustrations. It was a hair. It was a hair with a human mask, and it was a story that the hair had escaped from a science laboratory. So he was trying to disguise himself as a human. And I put he had an ear tag on his ear. I even put one of the ear tags was my PIN number, which I always used to like telling people that's my actual PIN number on it. I thought that was quite rock and roll until someone emptied my account. But that's another story.
I thought when you said your PIN number, I thought you said, "Oh, it's my mobile PIN number, not my bank PIN number."
That was my bank PIN. I was like, I'm an artist. Look how risky I am.
Very risky.
But it was really funny. It was good fun. It just cost a lot of money, and then so it was. I sort of went back illustrating. Then I went back to being an illustrator again, and then I was messing around with camouflage with collage, and then just sort of went, collage is just a lot of fun, isn't it? And then I thought, like, you can just the work has already been made for you. It's other people's hard work that I'm cutting up into bits of paper, like, and you go, this is way more fun. So I was just doing that, and I was working with camouflage and manipulation of the eye, and which I think kind of collage is a bit like camouflage. It's kind of tricking the eye into seeing something that isn't really there. At least a lot of the modern stuff is. And then I went from that to then doing screen printing. But the reason why the t-shirts failed was because we didn't really know what we were doing, and it's such a bloated business now. This would have been 2013, 2014, and t-shirts were just becoming really big. You could just take a picture on your phone and upload it, and there was just no money in it at all. I had quite a few retail outlets. I had one in Japan that's probably still got some of my t-shirts. I had some in France as well. So I had it going, but there was no money in it, man.
Yeah, the other issue with doing it these days is there's so many companies that offer that service where you can just hire someone or get something else to make the art for you, and then just upload it via, like, I think there's one called Printify, and then you link it to your Amazon, Etsy, and so on. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I think what we try to do is a lot of artist friends of mine who do screen printing on t-shirts. The t-shirts they use are all shit. They're all such low quality. I think that there's a particular brand. I can't remember. I can see the logo in my brain. But I went for the high end stuff. I was getting American Apparel. American Apparel. I'm wearing one of them now. This is one of the t-shirts. I've just got like stocks of them, and they were just really lovely to wear. And so I thought, well, that's going to be a good niche area, isn't it? I've got American Apparel t-shirts, and they're going to be high quality. But it turns out it was a stupid thing to do, because it was just for a box of 100, it costs £500-600, and you can't keep going, right, okay, so now each t-shirt has got to be 70 quid.
Especially when you're just starting the brand out as well, like that's a very down the line sort of thing I tend to find. Yeah, I get
so
that.
With the artwork itself, you should be charging Kanye West prices for a t-shirt, 100 quid for a t-shirt, but it was a nice stepping stone.
So how did you transition from that to doing prints or the art that you do now?
Well, I did it physically with screen printing. I went for a couple of lessons, and then because I just naturally assume I'm brilliant at everything, I just went, I know how to do it now. And then I went off and did that. And then screen printing is awfully messy. And also the success rate, is, I don't know if you've ever done it before. Have you done screen printing?
College, but no, not professionally.
I mean, if you can remember the success rate, when it works, it really works. But when it fails, it wrecks your day. And I just didn't like that. And then, I went from screen printing to doing collage. I found it a lot more responsive. You can just have something kind of looking like the way it's supposed to be in a matter of minutes.
Where do you find the material for your collages? Is it just magazines, or do you go on like Pinterest and just print them all off and then put them all
I
together?
I scanned up. Well, it used to be originally. I started off using wallpaper, vintage wallpaper. That's how I made a lot of the early things, like the seahorse, which I don't have to hand. I'm really prepared, aren't I? The seahorse and stuff like that. So it's all vintage wallpaper, and I used to make it physically. But then I had sort of children, and then COVID hit. So it was kind of like, I ain't got the space anymore to do it. So I found that if I just scan them into the computer and then arrange them digitally, I could do it. It was just easier to do it. And to be honest, it's just as much fun, you know.
Is that how you do your wallpapers? Because I wanted to ask you about that. Is it just scan it in, then do your magic to essentially copy and paste it in a nice style, or?
The wallpaper is all done digitally. Looking into doing physical stuff, but then you have to charge thousands and thousands of pounds. So, but you need, once again, a lot of space to do that. So I'm looking into doing that. But I've got so many wallpaper sample now cuttings and so many classic paintings. I would probably say I've got about in between 600 to 800 cut out pieces that I've all scanned in to my computer now. So I've got them to hand. But if I do find new things, I like to I either print them out physically or I just find them, newspapers and then scan them in. But they're mostly done digitally now.
Sure. So what's your inspiration behind all your artwork, like the wallpapers or your personal art pieces, or even your
Me. Me, I'm my own inspiration. My wallpaper is inspired by me, and my artwork is inspired by, I don't know, who have I stolen art off? Loads of people. No, I'm inspired by loads of people. I'm inspired by a lot of artists that I know. A lot of the stuff that I do. I like to look at people's work. There's a guy that I know called Ollie Fowler, and he did a brilliant screen printer, and he did this lovely piece that was a kind of sort of a homage to vintage, the 1980s or something. He did it about 8-9 years ago. He just had loads of flowers, tin of something sitting in the middle, and he had like various things around it that were like a reference to the 1980s. And I looked at it and went, that's interesting. And then my wife showed me a person online, this woman who photographs flowers to make them look like Renaissance paintings. Really clever. And with those two thoughts, I just went, I'm going to do that now. So I just sat on my computer, I got all these samples that I'd saved and made these sort of huge collages. Very much like I did an album cover for this band last year. I don't know if you can see that. It's sort of very much very busy.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, and that was so. I instantly sort of went away and went, right. That's what I do. And then from there, I went, that's kind of that's my style now. So I did eventually find a style, and I can hear all those people in the illustration world going, "See, you have a style. Took you long enough, didn't it?"
Sitting with the posh cups of tea, going,
Well. Look who has a style. Yeah, it's true. But then again, I'm gonna fly off somewhere else and do something else. I think the key is, right, you've got to keep doing this until you are kind of like a little bit free. You kind of, at the moment, you're making stuff that looks cool and you're like, there isn't much thought behind it other than that there's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hard work. And then someone says to you, but what does it mean? What does it mean, Rosco? And you're like, I'm not a fine artist. Off. So I'm not a fine artist. So what does it mean? Is that it was a joy to make. That's the meaning behind it. So, and I think if you progress, I'm progressing to the point where I think I'll become a fine artist. So I'll make something that has meaning, with not sort of poo-pooing on my work, but a lot of my work is aesthetically pleasing. It's visually enjoyable to look at, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I enjoy making it. But these are all stepping stones, I think, to become closer to being a fine artist, I think.
Is that your end goal, to become a fine artist?
I think so, without sounding too wanky. And it does sound wanky when you say fine artist. I'm a fine artist, yes. Look how fine I am. I think something like that, where I can get messy in a room and I've got quite a big office to work in, but it's still, that's my goal, I think, to become, I'm still in the chrysalis, you know. I'm inside the chrysalis making things, and then I'll burst out in a dazzling array of paint and urine. I don't know.
You're the cocoon before you turn into the butterfly.
Exactly that.
You've had some of your work featured in one or two galleries and The Guardian, which in that of itself is no small feat. But I'm always curious, how does someone get their work featured in the gallery? Because when I was in college, I had my artwork featured, but that was because I was on an art course and I was kind of a buy. But in your case, it's kind of an optional thing, I want to say. I don't know much about it. So how do you get your work submitted into like galleries and the press? Do you approach them or do they approach you? Or is it a bit of both?
A bit of both, yeah. It's nice when galleries, I mean, thanks to Instagram and stuff like that, you can be seen by people, and that I did sales, you see, and I'm 6'8". I'm a big guy. So I'm 6'8". I had to train myself to be confident. I wasn't when I was younger. So, and then I did sales as a job. So when you're 6'8", confident, and you do sales, you then go into artwork. You've got like an incredible arsenal with you. You know, I am not a person that shies away, and I don't mind, you know, tooting my own horn in public. I have got a criminal record for that now, but that's another story. It's just, I'm not afraid to sort of, you know, go for it and promote myself, which I know a lot of artists who I've spoken to say to me, how could you do that? Like, how could you do it? I used to have this little trick. I don't know whether I should say it or not, because I still like doing it. Yeah, I'll say it. It's fun. Is what you can do is, if you've got enough bottle, is you ring up a gallery, right? And I used to go, so a gallery I really wanted to be in, right? I used to ring up, this is many years ago, but I've done it recently because it's quite fun. But you ring up the gallery and you just say, hello there, is that social gallery? I'm looking for an artist for my daughter. She wants a piece of work. I don't know if you've got him. And they'd be like, oh yes, what's his name? I've got a bit of paper here. Is it you got Rosco Brittin? I think that's where it says. Oh. And you're like, oh yeah, oh no, we don't have him, but I've seen this. Let me just see if and they find their work for you, and he's got a website. You don't have anything of his at all. Like, and they're like, no, you know, don't worry about it. The piece was called so, and I carry that going on, and then 10 minutes later, bing, they start following me on Instagram, and then you get an email saying, oh, we just looked at your work. Would you like to? You seem quite popular. And I've had other artists go like, how do you do that? Like, because even with that really bad Scottish accent, the person at the other end of the phone can't afford to say, bullshit. That's the worst Scottish accent I've ever heard. They can't afford to do that. They've got to take you for, you know, for your money. So that's it. They can't afford to sort of stick their neck out, because if they get it wrong, they're going to look traumatized, which I learned in sales, you know. So that was a little trick that I used to do. But aside from that, that's quite complex. Is you just have to go to exhibitions and just chat with people. That's the boring one to do. Quite fun as well. You can get pissed. But yeah, just chat with people. It's sort of, yeah. I mean, I'd like to say liaising and emailing. I mean, I hate doing that. It's much more fun to go to exhibitions and just go around. And also, if you get, the more exhibitions you go to, you meet other artists, and then you go to an exhibition like 5 days later or 4 weeks later, and they're those same artists there again. Then they become friends with you, and then they say, I've got a friend who's just opened up a gallery. It works like that. You just make friends, and then if you can't do that, well, then you're in trouble. Then you should stay at home, draw the curtains, and just not interact with anyone, and just make really, really dark artwork. And then probably at some point you might die or kill yourself, and then you'll be seen as the great artist that you are, and that will come many years after your death. How's that?
Dark? You said you got...
Oh no, I just went off on a tangent there. Sorry, apologise for that.
Do you think your sales, how much has your sales helped with your artwork? Because you've obviously had experience with promoting other people's work and selling it to them. Has that massively helped, or is having to retrain from selling other people's stuff to your own being a bit of more of a hindrance than you realise?
Selling my own. Sorry, say that again.
Has that transition from selling other people's stuff to selling your own artwork been a benefit or a hindrance because you're having to switch from someone else's product to your own, or your own artwork in this case?
No, it's a gift, man. It's if I was selling someone else's work to selling my own. I've been pondering the idea of opening up a gallery because I'd be very good at selling my own work and selling other people's, particularly my friends whose work I admire. No, it's a skill. It's a special power, and it's fun as well, man. You shouldn't. You have to sell if you want to keep this thing going, unless you've got really lucrative deals. And it's fun to sell, and you learn tricks and manipulation and stuff like that. It's good fun.
You do commission work as well. What's the most common type of commission work that you get, or is there a variety of stuff? So someone might ask for a collage of Superman, or is it there's a common theme with it where it's just all animals? How do the commissions work?
I have certain designs. I don't say designs. I have certain pieces online, and if they like them, I can recreate them. But I like to say that they're all unique because I'll never make the same one the same way twice. So if someone sees something that is an animal or something like that, a collage of wallpaper in the shape of an animal, I can recreate that, and then I will say to them, have you got anything about this that you want me to put into it? And I did one a few months back where it was for a guy, and it's for a wedding anniversary, and he wanted this two couple kissing, and I just said to him, do you want me to tell me where you got married, and if you got a picture of the place where you got married? So I found an image of the place where he got married. In fact, I didn't find a place where he got married. I had to recreate the entire thing. So I redesigned this. I found a house that had a similar kind of shape to it, and I recreated this kind of church, and I put personalized things in it, So that's that commission side. I get a lot of people ask me if I supply you with the cut out pieces of paper, can you make something from that? And which I always respond with, go away and never talk to me ever again. I'm not gonna, you can't give me bits of paper, then you do it. If you've got the material, you stick it together. I've got to be the one to find the material that works well for me. This is pointless otherwise. If I give you the bits of cut out paper, can you arrange them so they look like a sunrise? Yes, so can you. It won't look as good. But yeah, you do it. But commission pieces are lovely, man, and they're always new and different, and people have got some bonkers ideas. Sometimes they're just a bit more insane than mine, so that's what I like.
What's one of your more insane requests?
Maybe not one of the strangest ones, but one of the sort of left field ones was a guy that he owned quite a big company, and he used to go whale watching around the world, and he wanted me to create a whale from cut out pieces of wallpaper, but I was only allowed to use wallpaper that featured coral. So I was like, challenge accepted, my friend, and now here's what you have to pay me. So, there comes a price tag with this. Coral's expensive, So I made that, and that was really good fun. But I like the idea that you got these parameters, you just go like, you have to use a pencil, but with no lead. You're like, right, gotcha. That kind of, I like a challenge. And have you tried finding wallpaper with just coral? I mean, it exists, but try finding vintage wallpaper with coral. It's a tricky one. I did it, and it looked really great.
How long does it take you to find the wallpaper?
I can spend about a week going through stuff, going to shops, looking online, looking at samples, having samples posted to me, and then I can spend, if I've got it all, I could probably do it all in about, because I'm getting good at it now, I can probably do the whole thing in about 3 days. But it's the preparation. The preparation is vital, particularly when you do that kind of like 2 a.m. thing where you're just there like that, looking at a screen, and that's what you're paying for, man. You're paying for this.
Have you ever had a piece of work that's been so popular that you've just got sick and tired of doing because you had to keep on redoing them because there was high demand, or? I don't. I imagine, I've had a discussion with my wife about this, about that there are certain artists that I know that do very successful screen prints, and I thought to myself, how do they continuously do that again and again and again, because it's so popular? But then I realised that some artists
hire people to print them out for them, which is fair enough. If you're having to churn that many out, I personally, I don't mind it. When an edition runs out, if an edition of 50 Bs or something, say like I had like I think I've got an edition of these My Little Fat Birds. If I've got an edition of 50 of these, once these are gone, they're gone. That's it. That's what I believe. So if I re-release these, they'll be different. It won't be just a different background. There'll be different feathers in it. You know, I like to stick to when something is finished, it's gone. You know, the edition is gone, and I think it makes my work more precious, more interesting,
and
as
more
opposed
valuable as well.
Yeah. It's not all about money, you know. It's about, you know, being free as an artist. You interviewers, you're all the same.
Is that what being an artist is for you? The freedom?
I mean, that does sound very lame when you put it that way. But yeah, it is. It is, man. It is like to sit there and go. I mean, I'm putting together some wallpaper at the minute, and I'm hopefully going to finish it today. And I'm looking forward to it. It's exciting to sit there and go like, what can I create today? I go to bed and I think about something and I go, what can I do tomorrow? Unless I've got like, you know, I've got a meeting, I've got to then do that. I've got to go off for a meeting. If I know I've got like 3 hours to myself, then my brain goes, try and think of something. And it's really great. When it happens, it's magic, man. Yeah, that's what it's all about.
What do you think about the starving artist stereotype? Do you think there's complete bullshit, or do you think there's some credibility in that?
There is. I think there's a lot of, my little sister and me talk about this quite a bit, about the sort of, you know, how much money you've actually got to how much money you like to show everyone, how little money you've got. I think, you know, we all get, I don't want to get in trouble about this, but I think we all get sort of told that no one's got any money. Like, we ain't got no money. No one's got any money. Like, it's all going through the roof, and you're like, yeah, but you're still here though. You know, weird stuff. I'm still here. I'm paying the bills. I'm still doing it. So I think I'm definitely, there are struggling artists. I see on Instagram, like, there's some artist friends that talk about one artist that I saw on there. She was talking about how she couldn't afford a Squarespace bill, and then she said, like, I couldn't afford it, and I was just about to deactivate it, and she said someone bought £300 worth of art off me, and it's enabled me to afford my Squarespace account for the rest of the year, which I thought was really endearing, and I thought it was quite a profoundly honest video for it to put up, and I totally understand that. But yeah, I mean, in my experience, I come from a working class background. I didn't go to fucking, you know, Loughborough or, you know, or St Martin's or something. I taught myself, and I find with a lot of artists that I know, that are sort of, they kind of dress poor, but they're wedged up, man. Maybe I'm just a bitter working class boy. Yeah, you've all got money. Stop lying. I don't know. I don't think it is an illusion. I think there are, you know, artists struggling out there. What I find more disturbing is the amount of projects there are for young people, and you just go, "What's that, Rosco? You don't like young artists?" And you're like, "No, I love young artists, but the opportunities that they get, as opposed to someone myself, who was in his 30s already, there aren't any projects. Are you aged between 35 and 45? Do you wish to still be an artist or a screenwriter or even a director? Yeah, I do. Well then, fuck off. You're too old. Oh, no. So, but it's like, are you aged between 16 and 21? You're like, yeah, of course they are. They've got their entire world in front of them. They've got all the time in the world. You're like, where are all these artists that are never given the opportunity, and they're 45 years old and they're still not given the opportunity? Where are all these projects? I'm going to go off on one now. It's not going to go on a crusade, but it's they're the ones that bug me. I find that there's not enough projects for the sort of the oldies, you know. Imagine all the filmmakers out there, the screenwriters, all the people that are brilliant at writing, but they've never written anything, and they know they've got it in them to do it, and they're sitting in accounts or HR, and you know, they're all out there, but they've been never given the opportunity. You know, there could be some amazing potential sort of skilled artists out there, but we'll never see that, because they realise that if they're 42, that's it. that's their job forever.
Do you think it's on them to take the first step, or do you think more opportunities need to be created to encourage those people?
I think there's a direct line between being from a wealthy family where you get the opportunities in college and university, as opposed to working class and sort of like middle classes, where I was, I was told, like, you got to have a trade, you got to have a trade, you got to have a trade, you got to have a trade. What's your trade? You got to have a trade. So you're either sort of, you work in an office, or you do scaffolding, or you paint and decorating, which I've done. You've got to do all these things. You've got to have a trade. And then suddenly no one sits there and go, what do you enjoy doing? You're like, I like drawing. You just go, well, then fucking do that then. You're like, okay, get a job so that it can finance you doing your art. And no one said that to me. They just went, get a trade, and then if you've got time, have a hobby. That's basically what it is to be sort of working class artist. Art is a hobby,
So it wasn't really ingrained in you to pursue it full time. It was
Yeah, I mean, I can even remember the preposterousness of being in art and doing art and design in Barnet College. Barnet College, art and design, which I had a great time. I had a really good time. But the very idea, you're sitting there doing, you're doing an art lesson, and you just go, what am I doing this for? Am I going to be an artist? No. The very idea, as opposed to someone from a wealthy background sitting in university doing fine arts and history, they're like, I'm going to become an artist, Good for you. Awesome. Yeah, well, so's Toby and Maguire as well. It's a bit different, isn't it, I think I just said a celebrity's name then. Toby Maguire, wasn't he Spider-Man?
Yeah, I noticed that when you said it. I was like, I see where that's come from.
Toby Maguire? What you got against Toby Maguire? Nothing. I thought he was the best Spider-Man.
Fair enough. I heard this is like a second-hand story. This was a few years ago now, of a sculptor.
It's a lie! It's a lie! I never did it! Sorry.
It's not a second-hand story for you, don't worry. But I heard this second-hand story from a game reviewer who said that he knew someone who knew someone who knew someone who was a professional sculptor. And what they could do was write off stuff like going to the cinema on that tax return, because it's part of their artistic lifestyle. Is that true, or is that just completely bogus? Because keeping in mind, this is a story from America as well. Is that something you can do? Like, you go off to see, I don't know, the latest superhero movie, and because you're an artist, you can just go, right, artistic expression.
There is a there's a lot of wank about that. One of my closest friends, Lee. He's a proper fella. He's a proper geezer, and he owns a sort of he's got his own building empire now, and a very successful man. And he's always going on to me about, you put the TV license down. You watch TV, don't you? You got all the art on there. You get inspired. But I'm like, Lee, I'm not putting my TV license on the tax. I'm going to see the Avengers. Yeah, go and put that because you get inspired by it, don't you? I'm not putting Odeon tickets down, Everyman tickets down as well. Like, so it's no. I think that's a bit of a stretch, and I think you could fall into a bit of a kind of problem there. I did hear a story in America though once, where a chap online, where he said that he had his artwork valued, so he just went, right, here's my paintings, and he went, right. So then he used his own paintings as collateral for getting a loan, and he said, so it's been valued. It's been valued by a serious evaluation by the bank. So they go, right, well, they're worth 20 grand. How's that? And they went, brilliant. I wish to use that as collateral for getting a loan. So he did it, and he opened up his own studio. And he goes, and the best thing was, if they wanted to come and take my paintings, they could. And I thought that was brilliant. But I mean, I would imagine that was a post I saw about 2-3 years ago. I don't know whether you can still do that, but it's a great idea though, isn't it? Getting your work valued and then using it as collateral to just get away with getting a ridiculous loan.
I asked my last guest this because it kind of related to her profession, but I think I'd be doing a disservice if I didn't ask you. What's your opinion on AI art? Because I'm personally torn about this. I get why people don't like it, because the AI has to take from what exists on the internet to create said art. And it is somewhat time saving, because as opposed to taking the time to learn, draw, and get all the art technical stuff, you can just type into the keyboard. But I also can see the benefits where if you're working a small personal project and you can't fund an artist, it's much easier to like type it into. I think there's one called Leonardo AI where you can.
Oh, he would have been proud of that name, wouldn't he? Hey, what are you using my name for? This shit. Oh, I love it.
I was just
no creative process whatsoever.
I was just wondering what your take as an artist was on AI art.
I do not like it. I understand that if you want to use it, you can. I don't wish to use it entirely. I like to use it as a tool. And you're like, yeah, all right, well, use it as a tool then. But you know, just do it yourself. You know, I can understand if you want to use it. I know lots of artists that use it as a tool, and if you want to use it as a tool so you can churn stuff out, there's two sides to it, right? If you want to stick to what you do, that's great. If you feel as though you're being left behind, then use it. I just don't fucking say to me that you're an artist if you're releasing a load of work and the AI's done it all for you. You're not a fucking artist. There's nothing to do. I don't care how descriptive you are. You're not an artist. You're good at English. Like, make it with a neon background, post Tokyo, with a woman's face looking 40 degrees. Well, very descriptive. That's really great. You don't sit there and go, oh fucking, I'm an artist. You're not. You're just very descriptive at writing. I can understand using it as a tool. That's fair enough, man. I haven't done it myself. Don't quite know how to write. So I haven't done it myself, but I probably will use it. I'll have a go if it's something that's worthy of doing. What will happen in the future, let me tell you, is that artwork will continue to sell. You'll still be an artist. You'll still have the AI creating. Well, why do I have to buy it from you when I can just create it? Well, then go and create it, but it won't be that. And you won't be able to say, I made this with my own brain and my hands. That's the niche. That's the thing, and it will always be that way. And also people now are already so smart and quick to decipher whether something's been used with AI. My wife showed me a picture just the other day of this beautiful living room, and it was of a glass wall in the middle of a forest with light coming through. And I was just looking at it going, oh, that's nice. And I looked at it. My wife said, oh, look, the first comment is, I'm getting AI vibes from this picture. And I went, yeah, me too. I just, my brain's going. And it's because there's like micro, I can't remember what they call it. They was talking about on the Corridor Crew, talking about special effects. When you see something and your brain does not accept what it's seeing, and your brain informs you that it's fake. It's not you looking for it. It's when you see, what do they call it? You know, when they put people's faces onto other faces. What's it called?
Deep fake.
Deep fake. There's a psychological thing that happens to the mind where your brain refuses to believe that's real, and if it's not done perfectly, your brain can fucking see it, and it's like a micro mannerism, and your brain sees it. And I think that's the thing with the AI. We can still see when something goes, my brain refuses to accept that picture, and it's telling me that's not right. And you're generally right. You go, I mean, some of it is immaculate. But I'm not frightened of it because it's still going to be here. You know, look at the tablet, man. Like, everyone's reading from tablets, but I've got fucking books downstairs I'm reading. I still read by the same system that was made in, using Gutenberg's fucking print. And that was like, what, 300 years ago, 200 years, fucking longer than that. I don't even know. So I'm not worried by it. I feel as though the AI is definitely wiping certain areas out. Like, my wife is a fashion makeup artist, and she does design a sort of tablecloths and stuff like that. And the fashion industry has definitely been slapped in the arse by AI, because it's just, why pay for a great photographer when you can now just get the image, hit it, it will work out the lighting for you? Why get a stylist when you can now get digital clothes put on things? Why get a makeup artist when you can do the makeup digitally on the face and you can just highlight it? The knock-on effect on that is that once you get rid of the makeup artist doesn't need an assistant. The makeup artist doesn't need an assistant. The stylist doesn't need to be there. The stylist doesn't need to be there. She doesn't need an assistant. The director doesn't be there. So the photographer doesn't. So you've got now 10 people who would have got a job through a photo shoot now don't need it because someone's just used an in-house AI system and done everything.
True, and plus it just turns into a domino effect where it keeps on knocking over until either all the dominoes fall or one of them don't. And
Yeah.
that's the cut point. Could you?
But the magical thing is, mate, is that it's the worm eating its own tail. AI is already duplicating itself. There was a great example my little sister pointed out to me where she said she got this AI and she was asking it to, I think she went, Amanda Holden, wearing a big hat, but bigger. So it made it bigger. Make the image bigger. So it made it bigger. It made the image bigger. It made the castle bigger, whatever it was, the mountains bigger. And eventually it got to space and she wrote bigger. So it just went space. And she said, if you tell AI to go anything larger, it can only go as far as space. It can't go beyond that because it hasn't experienced that. And only we've got the imagination to go, right, what could be beyond space? And you go, right, well, we've got the imagination to ponder that. But AI can't go, it can only go by what we've already put into it. It can't experience anything, you know? So it can only regurgitate itself.
That's the copying thing I mentioned earlier. Do you say AI art imploding on itself? Because I was looking at it, like a few Instagram accounts, and I was looking up the software, and there's just lists of AI software. Do you think it will turn into... I'm not well informed or educated on .com bubble burst, but where there was just so many where it implodes on itself, or like in the 1980s with video games where there was just so many third-party stuff that imploded on itself. Do you think that will happen with it?
It won't implode. It'll do exactly what everything's always done, including music. During like the 1990s, like DJ, like you had like the grunge era and rock and roll was coming back in a big way, and then DJs in like 1998 suddenly became big, and Fatboy Slim, and everyone wanted to be a DJ. And in 2000s, it was just dance music, and then eventually someone goes and picks up a guitar or sits by a piano, and then all of a sudden Ed Sheeran comes into it. It's just a guy playing an acoustic guitar, and now everyone wants to play acoustic guitar. It does the full loop, and people will get pissed off with it, and then one day someone will pick up a paintbrush and go, fuck me, this is fun, this is great. It's going to go full circle. We've always done it. We've done it in every scenario. There's only so long you can keep punching in, and then you pick up that, and then you're doodling and you go, oh, that was fun. It will go full circle. I don't think it'll implode. It will just like NFTs. NFTs are back. They're back. They're making. Oh wait, they've flattened out. Now they've gone now. They're back again.
It'll just turn to. So you think it'll turn into a trend then, where it'll just be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it will always exist. No matter what format. Even if you're using digital screens, using paintbrushes, you're still creating. It's how you use it, and yeah, it'll go full circle.
What are some of the future projects that you're working on, or any pieces of work that you're willing to tell us? Well, tell me.
I'm working on mainly a wallpaper at the minute. I'm doing a lot of admin. That's really exciting. Yeah, come on, get in the centre, mate. Come on, that's better. Yeah, I'm working on wallpaper mainly at the minute. I did my last bits that I did were these little tiny A5 things. These little women sitting on fruit.
Oh, those.
Who doesn't like a woman sitting on a banana? So I found these beautiful old magazines from like the 1920s called Theatre, and they had beautiful women on the front in various positions, and I just thought they'd look great on fruit. So I kind of like cut them out and then did a whole range of just women sitting on fruit, and I did my sort of little characters that kind of sit with them. I like doing little tiny weird creatures to the side, and they're my latest pieces of artwork I've done. But at the moment I'm just doing wallpaper, and I'm close to finishing my latest one, which is going to be very sort of floral. But yeah, wallpaper's exciting, man. I like it. It's fun because you're kind of creating, you're making your artwork, making art wallpaper art. It's that's how I feel about it. It's really good fun.
So you want to become a fine artist who specialises in wallpaper then?
Yeah. It's a lot more tricky. You've got to be a lot more disciplined. You can't kind of fly off because there's rules, which is nice. I like rules because if you give yourself rules, you can then sort of pull them and stretch them apart. And I'm starting to get used to sort of doing weird patterns and does it rotate and does it connect? How does it look? And yeah, the nice thing is just when I think I've made a mental piece of wallpaper, someone demonstrates to me this guy or this person, and it's utterly insane. And I'm like, right, I'm going to go even more overboard now because wallpaper's fucking crazy. So, some of the stuff out there is just so good. And yeah, there's not really any limit of how insane you can make wallpaper. That's what I like about it.
Thanks for your time, Roscoe. It's been actually a blast. I've had a ton of fun speaking to you.
No worries, man. I've enjoyed answering your questions, man.